It's time for The Verdict. The Verdict is a lively discussion of current events and legal issues pertinent to Oklahomans. The Verdict is hosted by Kent Myers and Mick Cornett. The Verdict is brought to you in part by Betcher, Martin, Jean, and Jackson, when hurt people need help. Betcher, Martin, Jean, and Jackson in Ponca City. It's time for The Verdict.
And welcome to The Verdict. I'm Mick Cornett. We're glad you're with us. My co-host is Kent Myers. He's one of Oklahoma's top legal experts. And today, Kent, we'll talk about something that affects everyone.
Yeah, not too much of a legal subject, but if you live in Oklahoma, you know about tornadoes. And some people pay no attention to them. Some people are absolutely terrified about them, but make no mistake about it, we are now in the tornado season again. And we wanted to bring to our viewers today a show that would bring together two real experts in what everyone needs to know about protecting oneself from a tornado, dispelling some of the myths about tornadoes and some of the things you do and don't do if something is coming. It's only been relatively recently, that we had the 5-year anniversary of that very destructive May 3rd tornado, which I remember very well watching it on TV. And we're going to be talking to the guys today, a couple of them that you actually watch on TV, telling you what to do. And we're going to be bringing Mick, a guest, is one of our two guests, who's from the National Weather Service. And he's the fellow that's in part responsible for telling the TV stations what's happening and what to put on and what to do. So I think it will be an informative and certainly timely topic, and these are good guests.
Well, this subject of science is changing all the time. Meteorology, storm prediction, we'll touch on all of that today on The Verdict.
You never did the weather.
American Express Tax and Business Services. We're accountants. We do taxes, business valuations, estate planning, and consulting. And we're right here in Oklahoma, working with the owners of small and medium-sized businesses. Steve Wilsey and Stuart Meyer have the resources and the experience. American Express Tax and Business Services. In Oklahoma City, the phone number is 405-843-5311.
Where will you be dining tonight? Here's an idea. Try Sofa Bella's Chicago-style grill, your #1 place for food, fun, and fine dining day or night. Not only will you be impressed by our large variety of steaks, seafood, and pasta, but also our signature Chicago-style pizza. Sofa Bella's, casual dining in an upscale atmosphere.
Bringing out the best in each student. That is the simple goal and tradition of Heritage Hall. The focus on the individual shapes the educational experience at Heritage Hall. Each student benefits from small classes, able, dedicated teachers, a solid academic curriculum, and exceptional co-curricular programs of athletics, arts, community service, and other activities, parental involvement, personalized counseling, and the development of responsibility, integrity, and love of learning. If you want education taught with pride, then you want Heritage Hall.
Coming up Monday on Hello Oklahoma, our High Def Family Theater giveaway continues. You have just a few more days to enter, so be sure to watch for the word of the day.
And Fun in the Sun Week kicks off. What's the first thing you should do before heading to the lake for Memorial Day weekend?
And have you ever considered becoming a foster parent? We have all the information you need to know.
And I'll be here with all the weather details.
So be sure and watch Hello Oklahoma every weekday morning from 6:30 to 8 right here on KSBI.
Welcome back to The Verdict. Mick Cornett with Kent Myers. Kent's going to introduce our guests.
We are pleased today to have two fine guests to talk to us about tornado preparedness and some interesting facts about tornadoes with which we live every day here in Oklahoma. Across the table from me is Rick Smith. Rick is from the National Weather Service down in Norman, originally born and raised in Tennessee, but we're glad we have him out here in Oklahoma now. He is the Warning Coordination Meteorologist in Norman. And his territory is central and western Oklahoma and northern Texas. I suspect a fairly active area that keeps you busy. He is a graduate of the University of Memphis. He's been with the National Weather Service in excess of 10 years and been in Norman about 3 years, I guess. Well, thanks, Rick, for joining us. We're pleased to have you.
Glad to be here. Thank you.
And to my left is Brady Brus. Brady is the president of the Family Broadcast Group, which is KSBI basically, and other stations. He is our boss here on The Verdict. He's a graduate of the University of Oklahoma and in meteorology. He has been with the CBS affiliate in the past for a number of years doing the weather here in the Oklahoma City metropolitan area. Now, in addition to being president of the Family Broadcast Group, he is the meteorologist for KSBI, and as surprising as it sounds, this is his first appearance on The Verdict, but we're really glad you're here.
That's right. I have not appeared here yet because I haven't been invited.
Well, this may be our last show, folks.
Rick, let me start it with you. What causes a tornado?
Well, you know, that's a very good question. Meteorologists don't really understand exactly what causes a tornado. That's one of the things that makes being a meteorologist in Oklahoma or anywhere an exciting and interesting job. You think the weather can get boring sometimes, but there are still mysteries out there, and what causes a tornado is still one of those mysteries. Well, the National Weather Service and the TV meteorologists have a pretty good idea of that set of ingredients that comes together to produce severe thunderstorms. The most violent and the most dangerous types of tornadoes typically come from a type of thunderstorm we call a supercell. It's basically a large rotating thunderstorm. It's a little bit different than just your garden variety thunderstorm. So we have a very good handle, we think, on when those are going to form and where those are going to form. But when we get much beyond that, about which storm is going to produce a tornado and which one isn't, it gets a little more complicated. There are some missing pieces of the puzzle that we're still trying to understand about what is that last step that causes this thunderstorm to produce a tornado versus this one that doesn't. So it's still kind of a mystery, actually.
Brady, I've born and raised in Oklahoma, just as you have been as well, and it's known as Tornado Alley. Why are we Tornado Alley?
Well, you know, a lot of people hear that phrase, and one thing that I would add to what Rick was saying is meteorology is really such a young science. If you really go back and look at science in general and all the different aspects of meteorology. I mean, just recently we've had computer models. I mean, that just in the recent past, 20, 30 years ago. So there's going to be a lot of factors that people don't understand just simply because it is such a young science, but it's a exponentially growing science, I can tell you that. Tornado Alley is just basically the central, called the central and southern plains, Oklahoma, portions of Texas on up into Kansas, Missouri, and those types of areas. And what happens is we have a lot of ingredients that other places in the United States don't have. You know, about 1,000 tornadoes hit the United States on average each year, but there's that centralized area, and we've got the Rocky Mountains, we have the Gulf of Mexico, we have the desert Southwest, so we have a lot of dry air and warm air off to our southwest. We have a lot of moist air from the Gulf of Mexico. Then we have the Rocky Mountains that causes the upper airflow to change a little bit, or causes the things on the surface to change as the upper airflow comes over the Rocky Mountains. So those parameters really don't exist in other parts of the country. It's just basically in the Central Plains.
There's nothing we've done wrong.
No, at least not me. Now, maybe you. As a matter of fact, we have had a couple of tornadoes just recently. We might look at some video from that. And you know, we had some tornadoes in Colorado and in Texas. And you can see the tornado touchdown in Hartley, Texas, and this was on Tuesday afternoon of this past week. And you know, we had a dry line out there in the Texas Panhandle, and a lot of times we see those storms fire up along the dry line. And that storm ended up derailing a Burlington Northern Santa Fe train, and officials say that 15 empty cars and 2 locomotives went flying off the tracks. I don't doubt that at all. Quite a bit of damage was done. So we had tornadoes in Texas. We even had tornadoes in Colorado, and in just a moment we'll look at some some of that. But you can see, even weak tornadoes do damage. A lot of tornadoes in Oklahoma, most of them are the F0 to F1, sometimes the F2 scale. Every once in a while, you'll get the big, nasty ones like we had on May 3rd, where you have F4s and F5s, but those are a very low percentage. You can see the derailed cars there, out there in the Texas Panhandle. So that was a stout storm, that's for sure. And that was what we, as you saw, it looked kind of like a wedge-shaped tornado. This was the tornado from Colorado, and this one occurred this past week as well in Elbert County, Colorado, and ended up flattening a family house and a barn late Monday night. So this one was Monday, and then the one that you saw just previously was Tuesday. So Kent, you were asking about Tornado Alley. Usually people don't really focus on Colorado as being part of Tornado Alley, but it's close enough in proximity. We can talk about it a little bit. But anyway, you can see there in Colorado had tornado touchdown. Electric power obviously was damaged in that area as well. So, that one doesn't have a real wide shot on it, but I don't really see a well-defined wall cloud. Do you, Rick? It looks like it's just coming out of the base of the storm.
Yeah, kind of zoomed in there. But,
yeah, it's kind of hard to tell because the person is zoomed in quite a bit. But usually you've got the wall cloud hanging down, and people hear that terminology a lot, and then you'll see the funnel cloud. One thing I would mention is when a funnel cloud is halfway out of that wall cloud, you can bet it's usually on the ground doing some damage, even if you can't see it. We call it an invisible wind down there. It's a wind, it exists. But if you see a wall cloud and a funnel cloud hanging about halfway out of the sky, just keep in mind, very likely it is doing some damage on the ground.
Why don't we jump in here and take a break? We'll be back more. We're talking weather with two fine meteorologists. You're watching The Verdict.
I'll come back.
Always the best price, that's a promise.
Folks, we're loaded with trucks during Truck Fest going on right now at John Oak Chevrolet right here in Chickasha. So whether it's an SSR or perhaps a Tahoe for $339 a month, a Trailblazer $259 a month, extended cab Z71 $239, or how about a regular cab fully loaded $179. Matter of fact, the hardest thing to do is pick your favorite color. You always get the best price. That's a promise.
We're going to expect me to believe that, do you?
Fine tailoring, durability, and comfort. You'll find all of these in Furniture by Charles Snyder. Sofas and chairs that carry a lifetime comfort guarantee. Browse our showroom and see curios and occasional tables by Like Furniture and Peters Revington. And for sleeping comfort, we offer the bedtime mattress line built right here in Oklahoma City. Superb comfort backed by a warranty on each set. Stop by and visit us at Knight Furniture, Northwest 23rd in Portland.
The Journal-Record is pleased to be a sponsor of The Verdict. The Journal-Record, since 1903, the best source of Oklahoma business news and legal information.
Watch CNN at 6 and 10 on KSBI. KSBI now offers the most trusted name in news every weekday evening at 6 and 10. Get the latest national and international news, as well as the most informative and relevant special reports, and live weather updates with meteorologist Brady Brus. Watch CNN at 6 and 10 on KSBI.
Welcome back to The Verdict. Mick Cornett with Kent Myers. Our guests are Brady Brus and Rick Smith, two meteorologists in the area. Rick, I want to ask you, how do we forecast a tornado? From the time you walk in to work in the morning, what goes on that would make you forecast a tornado's coming?
Well, it's really an ongoing process. It actually begins at the National Weather Service Forecast Office in Norman and offices just like that all around the country. It begins days before that. Actually, we are looking for that combination of ingredients coming together. Of course, we don't know there's going to be a tornado days in advance, but as I said before, we can forecast those supercell thunderstorms, those rotating thunderstorms that typically cause the big tornadoes. On a day where we're expecting tornadoes, of course, we have forecasters there around the clock monitoring the situation, and we're looking at a variety of things. We're looking at output from computer models that kind of give us an idea of what may happen in the atmosphere based on what's happening now, based on information from weather balloons and airplanes and airport observations and a variety of other things. We can plug that into a computer, and the computer will kind of spit out a picture of, okay, here's what we think it's going to be like at 6 o'clock this afternoon. So we look at that. We also look at radar. Radar is a very valuable tool for us in identifying developing storms, developing tornadoes. We look at satellite. We talk to storm spotters. Storm spotters are out there. So on a severe weather day in central Oklahoma, all those things are working together. It's a team effort between the National Weather Service, the emergency managers, and the storm spotters, and certainly the broadcast media. All the TV stations do such a wonderful job here of getting the word out. None of that would work if it wasn't for that part of it.
Well, if you hear Brady or one of the other television meteorologists say something's coming at your house, what's your advice?
Well, hopefully before you get to that point, hopefully you've thought about that before you get to that point. We urge people to think about severe weather safety when there is no severe weather. Think about it during the winter, or think about it on a nice sunny day. Think about what you would do if a tornado threatened you at work or at home or at school or driving down the interstate or wherever you might be, because you may only have seconds to react. We're very fortunate here. But the combination of the TV stations and the National Weather Service forecasters, we sometimes have 20 or 30 minutes warning, which is 2 or 3 times the national average for tornado warning lead time. But on the other end, sometimes you're only going to have a minute or two. So you need to know what you're going to do quickly. The things that you need to keep in mind for tornado safety are to get in, get down, and cover up. Those are 3 of the most important things. Get as far inside a reinforced building as you can. Get down as low as you can. If you can't get underground, then certainly you want to be on the first floor of the building. Get as low as you can, put as many walls between you and the outside as you can, and then cover up. Use whatever you've got: pillows, blankets, sleeping bags, mattresses, helmets. You know, that's kind of a thing we found after May 3rd, is people were wearing bicycle helmets, motorcycle helmets, anything that you can do to protect yourself from that flying debris. And that's what you need to get out of the way of.
Rick, let me ask you, what is the NOAA weather radio?
Well, the NOAA Weather Radio is a service provided by the National Weather Service, and it's kind of a supplement to the great TV information that you get here in central Oklahoma. NOAA Weather Radio is a continuous weather broadcast from our office. It's operating 24 hours a day. We have a series of transmitters covering the entire United States, actually, and it's continuous weather information. The good thing about NOAA Weather Radio is most of the radios that you buy today feature a warning alarm device. And you can program that radio for, let's say, Oklahoma County or Cleveland County or Canadian County, whatever county that you live in or care about, and that radio will sound an alarm. And before a tornado warning is issued, for example, for Oklahoma County, you can have that sitting at your nightstand, and at 2 o'clock in the morning, if you're not up watching television, for example, that can alert you to dangerous weather nearby. And we, you know, if you have a smoke detector in your home in Oklahoma, we encourage you to have a weather radio too, because weather is a hazard here all year long, and weather radio can help as one part of your warning system let you know what's coming.
Brady, comment on a couple of things. The old idea about, gosh, get to an overpass and crawl underneath it.
Sure.
And should I open my windows?
Well, I remember growing up in Oklahoma watching for a long time, seeing certain individuals say you got to, you know, open up your windows, get away from your windows, and that type of thing. And you know, that was good advice at that time, but the bottom line is we've realized that the tornado will open your windows for you, so you really don't need to do that. It was all in relation to a pressure change in your home, and you know, you open your windows, you equalize the pressure, your roof won't come off. Well, it's going to happen anyway if a large enough storm hits. So don't worry about that. You know, we always recommend just get away from your windows and get to the smallest part of your home, the center part of your home, and the lowest level of your home. If you have an underground shelter, that's obviously the place to be. You know, you hear tornadoes don't go up, follow along a river. You know, that's happened numerous times. You hear that they don't hit metropolitan areas. Obviously, that's happened quite a few times in the past few years here. And what was the other one you asked me about?
Overpass.
Overpasses.
Hide
and that's a great
under an overpass.
Yeah. That is highly not recommended. And the reason why is because a prime example was May 3rd, 99. And there were actually some individuals that encouraged people to get under overpasses. And interesting fact on that day, either a fatality or extreme injury occurred under every overpass that a tornado went over. A lot of people see that Wichita, Kansas video of the news crew and the two little girls getting up under there. And, you know, the thing about that wasn't an F3, F4, F5 tornado. It didn't take a direct hit. What happens is, and you can correct me if I'm wrong here, if I can remember my meteorology well enough, but the Bernoulli effect takes place, and the winds actually get squeezed under that overpass and increase in speed. And so you might have a 200-mile-an-hour wind turn into a 280-mile-per-hour wind. So that's not recommended. Also, on May 3rd, people were stopping at overpasses, getting backed up, and cars were hit and people died. So we don't recommend that at all.
I got a question that you'll both have to answer. I want to know how it happens that you guys issue the warning and then what happens from there. So talk us through how you guys would issue a warning and then you take it from a television station and what you would do with that warning.
Well, the National Weather Service has direct ties to all the TV and radio stations. We have direct ties to emergency management, who push the button for those outdoor warning sirens as part of what we call the integrated warning system. And the TV stations here are an invaluable part of that. Most people get their weather information from television. So when we issue a tornado warning, that goes directly to KSBI, it goes directly to all the TV stations here in the area. And depending on the station, they will relay that information different ways, depending on the situation.
Well, when you get it, what do you do?
Well, we have a variety of things that we do. First of all, we have the little map that goes in the corner of the screen that some people get very upset about because it covers some of their programming. But one of the things about KSBI is our footprint is so large. I had a viewer call just recently say, why do you have that map up? Those storms are in northwestern Oklahoma. Well, the folks from the Weather Service issue the warnings, and we cover northwestern Oklahoma all the way to Tulsa, all the way to Lake Texoma. So we have to cover all of our viewing area. Of course, we do cut-ins, and we have live coverage. And, you know, if there's a tornado on the ground, we're going to do coverage, drop the programming. And as the station owner, that means I'm going to take a hit financially.
Do TV stations ever do it on their own, or do they always wait for the National Weather Service?
I remember a specific case. Usually, though, I'd say 99.5% of the time, it's the National Weather Service, and it's crucial that a television station has a good relationship with the National Weather Service. Crucial, and those guys are there 24 hours a day. We have other things that we're doing, but that is their focus. But I remember October 2000, I was on the air at another station, and we actually had a tornado hit just near the Crossroads Mall. It was only on the ground for about 3 minutes, but I issued a tornado warning because I had storm trackers around it. It was a fall tornado, and the Weather Service then issued theirs. Now, that doesn't happen often. It's usually the Weather Service. But if I know something's going on, I'm sure going to go ahead and issue the warning.
Let me jump in and give each of you about 30 seconds just to talk to the viewers and tell them what you think they ought to know about what you do.
Well, it can be a scary thing. Spring can be scary here in central Oklahoma, and we certainly don't want people to panic or be afraid of anything here, because while it is true that it's not a question of if tornadoes will happen here, it's when and how bad they're going to be, the good news is you can prepare. You can be ready for a tornado. Think about it in advance. Have multiple ways to get a warning. Don't just depend on one way. If the power's out, you may not be able to watch television, so that weather radio. Don't count on being able to hear those sirens inside your house or your car. So just have multiple ways, have a plan, think about it in advance, and you can survive almost every tornado if you just do those simple things. And between the National Weather Service and the TV stations, we'll provide the information to you.
Good advice. I would just echo that and say don't be scared of the storms. I know that we tell the kiddos that. You don't need to be scared, just know what to do. And as Rick was saying, think about this in advance. Think of it as a fire safety plan at your home, the same type of situation. Go ahead and have a plan, what to do. Apartments, homes, trailers, whatever it may be in your car. Know where to go, know what to do, and don't be scared of the storm, but just keep in mind, keep an eye to the sky, and we'll be here for you. So.
All right. Brady, Brus, Rick Smith, thank you both for coming on The Verdict. Kent and I'll be back with the final word right after this.
My name is Fred Betcher. I am the founder and senior partner of the law firm of Betcher, Martin, Gene & Jackson. For over 35 years, we have provided quality legal representation to hundreds of injured Oklahomans from the convenience of 3 statewide locations. When hurt people need help, they call us, Betcher, Martin, Gene & Jackson.
Call 1-800-834-8877 for a free consultation.
It's time to shop at MetroTurf. Take a look at these Cub Cadet utility vehicles, now specially priced. MetroTurf has made some incredible buys on these Cub Cadet utility vehicles, and never before have we been able to offer you so much value. Choose from 3 styles at your price and own the best utility vehicle on the market today. Come buy from us at MetroTurf, your #1 source for Cub Cadet. I-35 and Indian Hills Road, Norman.
All children deserve a life of hope and love, but sometimes they experience a life of pain, neglect, and abuse.
When that happens, each child deserves all the quality assistance and representation that can be offered in our legal system. For more information, call 23-CHILD.
Oklahoma Lawyers for Children, helping to bring hope and love back to the lives of abused children.
Remember the good old days when your banker knew you and your family by name? In today's fast-track lifestyle, is your bank treating you like a number? At Credit Union One, you're not a number, you're a member, a family member. To become part of Credit Union One's family, you need to live, worship, work, or go to school in one of these counties. Come back to a simpler way and let us show you how to handle your financial planning thoroughly and efficiently. Remember, at Credit Union One, you're not a number, you're family. Credit Union One, your lifetime financial partner.
Welcome back to The Verdict. Mick Cornett with Kent Myers. We're wrapping up a show that we did on weather.
Yes, we were talking off camera about the Woodward tornado back in the 50s, I guess it was.
47 seems to strike my mind.
Yeah, I am pleased to say I remember that day. I'm sorry about the horrific events, but that is an example of what terrible loss of life there can be without adequate warning. And of course, back then there were no television station warnings and the like.
It's certainly not a documentary, but The Wizard of Oz shows a routine farm situation where all of a sudden they see a twister. Yeah. And they'll just start racked and running around, and they had a storm shelter. But it shows what life was like in rural Oklahoma or Kansas when they just popped up with no warning.
Well, we are, of course, just blessed, if you will, with fail-safe devices to tell us when to duck and how long to stay ducked. After May 3rd, we put in at our place a storm shelter of sorts. I think a lot of the new construction in Oklahoma City are including safe rooms and the like. It seems to me that after May 3rd, this community's consciousness about tornado preparedness has been increased considerably after that F5.
Well, we really are fortunate that our broadcast stations here give such a commitment to weather. This station and the other stations in Oklahoma City, a lot of people don't realize that when they start taking off television commercials, in other words, when they just give continuous radio coverage, that's inventory they cannot get back. And they are basically making that commitment to serve the citizens.
And certainly this station, KSBI, has the ultimate commitment in the sense that the president of this station is the weatherman. So
shows you how important weather is in Oklahoma.
It certainly is. Changing the subject. Next week we're going to continue in our series of meeting the Senate candidates with Brad Carson. And after that, the next week, we're going to have Joe Castiglione come back for his quarterly visit about football.
Look forward to that. For Kent Myers, I'm Mick Cornett. We'll see you next time on The Verdict.